anybody who's been under a rock and doesn't know, a Woj bomb went off last night, that Saturday night, saying that AD has been traded to LA. Who was all involved in the package, John?
So it's Ingram, Ball, Hart for the players, the number 4 pick, and then basically they kind of Brooklyn them where they basically control the Lakers draft till LeBron's 39 years old in between unprotected picks and or pick swaps. So if if the worst happens, which would be if AD leaves or AD's hurt or LeBron gets old fast and goes off a cliff with the amount of games that he's played, this could be a massive Celtics haul on the picks on the back end, same way with the KG Pierce Brooklyn deal. So, I'm not an Ingram guy. I think Ball is what he is. He's Rubio who can play defense. Yeah. He's a good defender. They have a good defensive backcourt now. But they didn't give away. Pelicans didn't get a star, at least not right now, which they would have through a Celtics trade with Tatum, theoretically. But they got a lot down the road. So in the immediate, they're going to take a big hit, and they're in full rebuild mode around Zion. But those picks could really, really pay off
quickly. I don't foresee them being a contender, but I see them being the Pelicans being a playoff team in the East, maybe an 8th seed, or they'll definitely compete for a playoff position even with no AD. I see it as a Pelicans win, and I'm not just saying that as a Celtics guy who's jaded because he didn't want to come here, because anybody who follows me on Twitter knows I didn't want any part of Anthony Davis, and tore me apart. But truth be told, I think ultimately this is a deal for the Pelicans to really be happy about long term, and the Lakers to be concerned about long term. AD will not guarantee that he'll resign. And on the flip side, the Lakers, I think, aren't real displeased with that, because they want to keep their options open too. But giving up all those draft picks, number 4. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, it's a win-win-win, I think. Look, the Lakers had to do it. The door got shut on them. This is clear. They were out of options at this point. Sure, they had a ton of cap space. They could theoretically have signed and are still looking to sign more people. But, if Kyrie, and the Kyrie narrative changed, we'll hit that in a minute, but we'll see about that. But let's just say, you're looking at Durant and Klay Thompson, 2 of the top free agents, both have season-ending injuries. They're kind of off the board. And you're looking at Kyrie theoretically going to Brooklyn. So we thought. Again, this is kind of developing. But that was it. Lakers had to make the trade, which is, I think, why they had to give as much as they gave, because they had no options. So, seeing as at this point, Danny, I think, clearly was playing it that he's not going to give anything real up because he really wasn't confident AD would stay. This was quite a haul to get out of the Lakers. Basically, the only thing they held on to was Kuzma. And that's it. So now, again, kind of shifting the narrative. So they had to do it. The Pelicans got the most they can get. If you're a Laker hater, there's definitely possibility this blows up. But now we're talking about this new thing, kind of coming out today about, Kyrie, maybe sort of kind of thinking about joining the Lakers, which to me is,
it just confirms him as the biggest fraud in NBA history. He learned well from his big brother, but being the prodigal son, going back to him is just such it's a worse look than the look he left in Boston the past 3-4 months of the season.
And here's why I think this is real, because nobody knows Kyrie's mind. He's so unpredictable. Right. He's so above us all and smart. And
that's not true.
I'm just kidding. But But the spin around this right now is that Kyrie really wanted to play with AD, and that's why he wants to go to LA. So it doesn't look like he went running back to LeBron. It's already being spun to not make Kyrie look like as big of a fraud as he's going to look like when he realizes he couldn't run his own team because exactly what happened. So he has to go back and team up with superstars and be what now? The third wheel? Give me a break.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to sit too well with Irving. Maybe off the bat it will, but as the season progresses and he doesn't get his way, and the media scrutiny is not going away from him, he has pretty much put a target on his back, I think, for the rest of his career. I really do. I mean, I think the media is going to continue to scrutinize everything he does. If he goes to LA now, there's a whole storyline of that can be picked apart by the media to really, knock down his legacy and his reputation.
Right. If he goes to LA, he's got the Durant issues, which is you took the easy way out.
Worse,
right? And worse because the thing that you ran from, you went running back to when you couldn't hack it on your own. So it's amazing. The narrative changes, but a part of me wants to see him go to Brooklyn because that's like, by all accounts,
that's purgatory.
But not just. I mean, Brooklyn is kind of like the Celtics were a couple of years ago. Great culture, not tremendous star power. Some good players.
Wait, where do you get a great culture from?
They love each other there. They like the players. The players like each other.
Great chemistry.
Yes, the players really dig playing there. You bring Kyrie in there, it's just a bomb goes off.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've seen it, and I don't want to be right, dude, but and I know you kind of have been we've been in each other's camp with this Kyrie thing, but there's a couple things I take away from the positive side for the Celtics. Number one, Danny Ainge and his reputation is still intact as far as it's a positive and a negative. But the positive is he's still intact as Trader Dan, and the Pelicans were afraid of getting fleeced. So that's a good thing. Kyrie didn't destroy that.
I mean, go ahead.
I have more to that. I mean, not giving away Tatum, holding your ground, smartest thing he could have done. I know the Green Teamers are kind of up in arms on Twitter about that, but the truth of the matter is AD was going to be another year of Kyrie. And if Kyrie did re-sign because AD came here, it would have been a 1-1. It would have matched up with Durant because Durant, if he doesn't leave the Warriors, I don't think he will. Durant, AD, and Kyrie, I mean, that would be really set the franchise back for a decade. Yeah. So Celtics fans who are impulsive and want it all now, you got that opportunity last season, and your boy messed it up badly. So, and this team, the Celtics are running out this fall. Even if Danny makes no more moves, already has proven that they can compete. And I know the answer to that is, well, the Eastern Conference is so much better now with Kawhi's leaving. So that is a big dent in the East. Jimmy Butler's potentially leaving. That's a big dent in the East. And, you've got really left at that point Giannis. And the Celtics, I know Milwaukee's a better team now, but I think the Celtics can go 7 with that team.
I don't know. I mean, I think right now, since you don't know what anybody's doing, Milwaukee should be overwhelming favorites to...
Well, they're favorites to win the championship, according to BOL.
Right. I think the Lakers obviously nudge forward but in the East, they're the only team without a question right now. So yes, they look great. Yeah, I don't know about the others, but going back to the thing you talked about with Danny, he had to do it. He had to. I take that back. He had to not do what he did.
Yes.
He had to also take the swing at Kyrie. They gave up nothing there, and that's kind of the dirty secret behind Danny and this notion that he is this I'll do anything, blow it up sort of trader guy. He isn't. He isn't really. Every deal he's made has been remarkably.
A sure thing.
He's been remarkably safe. I mean, at the end of the day, what did you give up? You gave up, a broken down Isaiah, who honestly, even if he were healthy, you weren't signing to a long-term deal.
Max.
Sure, a pick that probably could have helped you, but honestly, that you're going to get 2 or 3 other guys like that in the next couple of years with the haul of picks that you currently have, or if you package them and trade up. So sure, that's the only thing of value. Jay Crowder, who's a dime a dozen jag.
Not only that, was a pain in the ass. He was a complainer and a perpetual run to social media type guy.
Nothing. Zizic, this and that. I mean, Danny took a swing on a guy 2 years. Elite talent here for 2 years. To try to convince him that this was the place for him and see if you could recruit other people. Didn't work. Guy was a dick. So be it. You knew it beforehand. You were hoping it would just work because the culture was so good. Didn't. It is what it is. Had to take the shot. But Danny is not a risk taker. That's the greatest misnomer with him.
Yep.
He's not. Look at Paul George. They didn't give up. Wouldn't give up a real player for Paul George without the guarantee that he was coming back. Everybody was up in arms over. Ooh, how did they turn down the Indiana? Indiana got fleeced. Yeah, fleeced. Sabonis and Oladipo. Like the Celtics were giving away Jay Crowder, maybe Smart, and then what? mid to late round, first round picks. They were offering nothing for him. They didn't make real offers for Butler. They wouldn't include Jaylen Brown for Kawhi Leonard because these are risks.
No, these were risks.
Leonard, you bring guys in because you don't know if they're going to stay, and the Celtics Danny wouldn't give up anything real ever for any of these things. He just wanted picks. He wasn't giving away players. Never dangled ever in reality the number one pick that ended up being Tatum in any deals prior to that. It was always other picks. So again, the assets that matter most to the Celtics, Danny has closely guarded. So it's no surprise at all that he didn't include Tatum in the AD deal. I never expected that to happen.
No, only
if Kyrie came back and you knew Davis was going to re-sign. It had to be a sure thing. Anything short of that, Tatum was never going.
Yeah, and I didn't even like that move because if Kyrie came back and signed a 1-on-1, it's just not a good situation for Boston. The fan base can't tolerate another year like last year. I honestly believe that.
Right.
And, the Celtics fans have short-term memory. They don't remember that Kawhi Leonard was surrounded by controversy that offseason and last year when San Antonio dished him. He had the injury issues. He's not a great PR guy, and we learned after the fact that he's basically just a private guy focused. But at that time, you're like, why doesn't this guy want to play for Popovich? And I was not in favor of a Kawhi trade. I mean, obviously, you're going to get some times where you're wrong, and I was wrong about Kawhi last year. But John, not even a championship is keeping these stars stable in one city.
Yeah, and so that's exactly it, Nick. That's the problem. I mean, it's just not a great position to be in because you have to sell out and go for what you had last year, and then sell out again and get Davis, who was a freaking disaster with the way he handled New Orleans last year.
Disaster.
And you got to bring these guys and their egos and their 1-on-1s and their I can leave at any time and I control everything guys here who have to do things their own way, and then they're no longer the Celtics. They're a team that may win, or you have the high end talent. But do you like these guys? I think this is kind of where we've landed here, where I feel like the overwhelming kind of Twitter reaction was, the first thing is sigh. We didn't get him. He went to the Lakers. And then the second thing is this relief. It's like, you interview for a job that you don't really want, and somebody calls you,
but it pays a lot of money.
Yeah, somebody calls you and says you didn't get it, and first you're like, damn, and then you're like, thank God, I didn't want to do that. Like, I don't think anybody really wanted to go down this road. I think if you had it your way as a Celtics fan, what you want most is you'd love to win with the kids. I don't know if we can. I don't think we can, but it's just, it feels pure, like what you had a couple of years ago to watch them grow. So here we are. And again, you retweeted this, and it was something that Sherrod Blakely at NBC Sports Boston wrote about, this is, it was Sherrod, right? This is Jayson Tatum's team now. I think I don't know that Jayson Tatum's an alpha. But I think people want to see it. People want to see these guys play a full year unencumbered with no Kyrie and no one looking over their shoulder, and just let it fly and see what happens. And then maybe judge at the end of the year.
You bring up a good point, because I feel a couple things there that you mentioned. I feel like no distraction and drama of Kyrie Irving, and that's suffocating. And John, like, you were in the locker room a lot. I was in the locker room a lot. I never walked in the locker room, and you probably have with all the years you've been doing this, but I never walked in a locker room where tension can literally be felt in the air. That's all gone. And I'm pretty certain that now dominoes are going to start falling into place. Al will either extend, sign, opt out, and then re-sign for shorter money. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen now. Or he's just going to play his last year and take the money. But I don't think Al Horford is going to leave now. I think this actually solidifies his staying, and I think that's paramount if you're going to build around a young core. I also think everybody is forgetting that the Celtics were barely a fourth seed this season. Barely a fourth seed. They fought right down the stretch to get that home court advantage in the first round. I don't see, even if Danny doesn't make another move, which I believe he will, but if he doesn't make another move, I don't see the Celtics being much worse than a fifth or sixth seed. And they're going to be a fifth or sixth seed that's going to compete and play with effort and play like they're wearing the jersey they're wearing. It's not going to be, this effortless, effed up basketball. So, I mean, I think all in all, the Celtics, and I sound like I'm wearing green goggles here, but I think the Celtics win. I think Danny Ainge held firm, and the culture's intact. Danny's intact as with one of the best GMs in the NBA. The Lakers get AD, fine. That's now their problem. Let Kyrie go there. I hope he does.
Yeah.
Everybody forgets, like, again, short-term memory. They forget that a team that went on to the NBA Finals that nearly won, could have pulled it out, not nearly won, but could have pulled it out, competed against the Warriors. That whole playoff series, Kyrie Irving did not speak to his teammates. We forget this. He did not speak. It was Cleveland, his last year in Cleveland, that whole postseason. He did not speak to his teammates. They found out more when he was at the podium than they did in person from him. So this is nothing new. Opening night 2 years ago, Kyrie's first game, obviously the Gordon injury. Everyone from operations at the Q to taxi cab drivers were saying the same thing. By the time Kyrie has put his stamp on Boston, you will have been set back.
Oh, my God. Every guy. Are you kidding? It was, we were geeked up to get a high-level talent like that, and everybody, and it was worth the swing, but it's amazing how quickly you can convince yourself of all the things not being true. Every single writer, or every single person I dealt with coming out of Cleveland was like, enjoy Kyrie, good luck, ha-ha. So, they didn't want to lose him. LeBron didn't want to lose the talent. It sealed his fate in Cleveland. Cleveland, by the way, is doing fine right now without any of this. Not fine, but still.
They'll be fine.
But we knew it. This guy's a flake. Of the maximum order. Every single time he spoke was just a master's class in self-importance. This guy, and you're right. You talk about walking into the locker room. It's just word salad. This faux deep philosophical nonsense. But you're right. You walk into the locker room, again, it was palpable how tight everybody was, and it was so clear that it was coming from one direction. It was so obvious. You had scrums where Irving's sitting in the background waiting to talk and mocking reporters' questions, and people aren't talking about that. For all the flack Irving supposedly got through the media, and all the Green Teamers really upset that, hey, take it easy on you guys, have agendas and narratives. I think 1/10 of it is what was actually reported, and I think the floodgates will obviously open now.
I can't wait.
As soon as he makes his decision, everyone's going to hear stories, and a lot of stories, and I think the players are finally going to open up, and you're going to get sources close to the team and this and that, because this was a miserable situation. It was untenable. So yes, it's going to hurt a little bit that Irving's not coming back, so you take a massive hit in talent. He might have been the key to getting Davis, but man, I think everybody in there